You've been eating these foods your whole life, thinking they're completely safe. But the reality is, hidden inside some common fruits, veggies, and even spices are compounds that can make you incredibly sick. The shocking part? It only takes one wrong bite, one overlooked seed, or one undercooked serving. Today, we're pulling back the curtain to show you 10 everyday foods with toxic twists. The question is, can you recognize the difference between safe and dangerous before it's too late? Number 1. Apple seeds. You toss the core without thinking, but those glossy brown seeds inside an apple aren't as harmless as they look. They're loaded with a compound called amygdalin, and once chewed or crushed, that substance turns into cyanide inside your body. Yes, the same chemical known as a fast-acting poison is hiding right there in something you eat every week. Swallowing 1 or 2 whole seeds usually passes straight through your system. The true danger begins when you break open the shell. Suddenly, that protective layer is gone, exposing your body to a toxin that interferes with how cells use oxygen. Think about what that means. Your organs keep asking for air, but they can't take it in. Rapid breathing, dizziness, and even seizures can follow after just a small amount. The seed's hard coating is nature's buffer, a built-in safeguard that limits exposure until you chew. Crush a handful, and that defense no longer works. Imagine grinding them for apple seed tea or chewing several out of curiosity. Instead of nourishment, you're courting a chemical chain reaction that your body can't control. The flesh of the apple is safe, but the seeds are not a snack. Bottom line, spit them out. Never chew, never brew. The sweet part of the fruit is meant for you. And speaking of fruit pits, let's look at cherries. Number 2. Cherry pits. You bite into a sweet cherry, juice on your tongue. But if your teeth snap the pit in half, the story shifts fast. That stone in the middle isn't just a nuisance to spit out. It's a container for cyanide compounds locked inside its tough shell. A whole pit sliding through your system usually leaves without much trouble. It's when you crush or chew it that the danger wakes up. By breaking that shield, you free chemicals that switch into cyanide once inside the body. Cyanide works by choking your cells of oxygen, almost like cutting off air to every organ at the same time. Kids and pets face the highest risk, often driven by curiosity. A child crunching a few pits because they look like nuts, or a dog digging into discarded fruit, can end up sick in minutes. It doesn't take many broken pits before nausea, dizziness, or far worse problems begin. To put it bluntly, the number of pits needed for serious harm is lower than most people guess. Crush a small handful, and you've already crossed into dangerous ground. That's why crushing them for flavoring or ignoring cracked pits in preserves opens the door to real hazards that the flesh of the cherry never carries. Here's the kicker. Enjoy the fruit, but always spit the pit. Never chew it, never crush it. Bottom line, cherries are for eating, pits are for tossing. But pits aren't the only nut-like danger. Almonds have their own twist. Number 3. Bitter almonds. You know almonds is one of the safest snacks you can grab, high in protein and often promoted as heart healthy. But there's a dangerous twin that most people never realize exists. Bitter almonds. They look just like the ones you buy in bags at the store, but inside they carry something far more toxic. Here's the truth. Bitter almonds are packed with amygdalin, a natural substance that your body converts into cyanide. And unlike apple or cherry seeds, where the toxins are hidden within a hard shell, in bitter almonds it's right there in the nut itself. That means chewing just a few untreated kernels can release a dose strong enough to trigger nausea, dizziness, or even worse. Most consumers don't know they're eating a carefully bred variety called sweet almonds. Over years, they were selected to reduce toxin levels while keeping the look and flavor. The wild, bitter versions never had that filter. That difference is why you can snack on a handful of sweet almonds without issue, but the bitter ones are treated as unsafe. In fact, many countries don't allow them to be sold raw at all. That ban says a lot about their potency. So picture this. 2 piles of nuts that look the same. One is wholesome, the other far too dangerous to crack open. Bottom line, only sweet almonds belong in your diet. Bitter ones must be processed or avoided. Next up, let's expose a staple root many rely on daily: cassava. Number 4. Cassava. Cassava is a lifeline crop in many countries, feeding millions every day. But here's the hidden danger. When raw, the root carries compounds that your body converts into cyanide. And unlike common roots you peel and cook without a second thought, cassava demands strict steps before it's safe to eat. People often assume peeling is enough, but that's not true here. Simply boiling or frying without care does not always remove the toxins. The root has to be handled with a process: soaking to draw out the chemicals, fermenting to break them down, and then thorough cooking at high heat. Skip even one of those, and the toxic compounds remain. That's why mistakes in preparation have sparked episodes of mass poisoning in rural areas that rely heavily on cassava as a daily food source. Think about it like this. Most vegetables are forgiving if you cut corners. Cassava is not. Imagine biting into it raw like you would a carrot or a potato slice. Instead of a crunch, you've just unleashed compounds that can interfere with breathing, cause severe stomach distress, or overload the body with cyanide. It's not a mild issue, it's a direct strike against your system. Bottom line, cassava becomes safe only when you prepare it the traditional way. Preparation equals protection every single time. Now let's move from roots to something sitting in your pantry right now: potatoes. Number 5, green potatoes. Potatoes look like one of the safest, simplest foods you can cook. But give them too much light on a counter or windowsill, and that plain skin begins to turn green. What many don't realize is that those green patches signal more than a cosmetic change. They mean solanine is building up inside the potato. Solanine is a glycoalkaloid toxin, and it's the plant's natural defense against pests. The problem is that it also makes people sick. That bitter taste you notice when a potato greens or sprouts is not just poor flavor. It's the plant warning you not to eat it. Ignore that warning, and the side effects can pile up. It starts with stomach cramps, nausea, or diarrhea. But higher doses can push farther, hitting your nervous system with confusion, tingling, or even coma when levels climb. Here's the truth. Once solanine is in a potato, you cannot cook it away. Baking, frying, or boiling leaves the toxin right where it is. The risk stays locked inside. And here's the kicker. The way most kitchens store potatoes makes this problem common. Leaving them in a plastic bag on the counter, or worse, under a bright lamp, practically invites solanine. The only safe storage is cool, dark, and dry. Bottom line, trim off small green spots, but if the potato looks more green than flesh, throw it out. Now from roots to spice jars, nutmeg hides its own hazard. Number 6, nutmeg. You sprinkle nutmeg over cookies or hot cocoa, thinking it's just a cozy spice, but the dose makes the poison. A little dusting adds warmth and flavor, yet only a spoonful or two too much can turn dangerous. At higher amounts, nutmeg doesn't just season your food, it pushes your body into a toxic state. Here's the truth. Nutmeg contains a compound called myristicin. In small amounts, it sits quietly in the background. But when concentrated through overuse, it overwhelms your nervous system. The result? Hallucinations, dizziness, rapid heartbeat, intense nausea, and sometimes even seizures. People overlook this because nutmeg is sitting right there in the spice aisle, treated like cinnamon or ginger. But hidden inside is a psychoactive punch, almost like a drug, when the serving crosses from sprinkle to spoonful. There are reports of people misusing nutmeg deliberately, chasing what they think will be a cheap high. The problem? The high comes with vomiting, severe disorientation, and hours of misery instead. What looks like harmless kitchen experimentation quickly turns into regret. It's not rare curiosity either. Some have found out the hard way that doubling or tripling the spice in a recipe tips the scale toward illness. And here's the kicker. You don't need much to cross that line. The margin between flavor and harm runs thinner than most people expect. Bottom line, pinches of nutmeg are safe, spoonfuls are toxic. Moving from spice racks to gardens, let's look at rhubarb. Number 7, rhubarb leaves. Rhubarb pie shows up as a classic dessert, familiar and safe. But have you ever noticed that the green leaves are never included with the pink stalks? There's a reason for that. The stalks are edible, but the leaves carry oxalic acid, a natural compound that interferes with how your body uses calcium. That means it doesn't just upset digestion, it can pull calcium away from critical systems. When you eat oxalic acid in large amounts, it can trigger painful kidney stones, lower blood calcium, and in severe cases, push your body into life-threatening stress. And here's the kicker. Even a handful of leaves is enough to overwhelm your balance. The danger is not spread evenly through the plant. It's concentrated in the leaves, sitting there as if they belong in a salad. That's the trap. Farmers and gardeners know the risk well. They've seen pets collapse after eating trimmed leaves tossed aside in the garden. The animals don't know any better, and one snack can be fatal. For people, eating a bundle of leaves can lead to sharp pain, vomiting, and kidney strain. There's no warning smell or taste that can protect you. The leaves look lush and green like chard or spinach, but chemistry makes them something altogether different. The stalk equals dinner, the leaf equals danger. Bottom line, always strip rhubarb down to the stalks and discard every leaf. Nothing from the top belongs in your kitchen. From garden to pantry, beans hold their own secret hazard. Number 8. Kidney beans. Beans feel safe, warm, and filling. But when it comes to red kidney beans, leaving them undercooked is a serious mistake. These beans naturally contain lectins, a toxin that your body reacts to strongly. And here's the truth. Those lectins aren't destroyed unless you cook the beans at a full rolling boil. It doesn't take many to cause harm. Eating just 4 or 5 raw or barely cooked kidney beans can bring on sharp stomach cramps, vomiting, and diarrhea within hours. The shock is how quick it happens, even from such a small number. People think beans are soft and ready after a short soak or a quick simmer, but without proper heat, the toxins remain active and strike back hard. Slow cookers make the problem worse. The gentle low temperature some recipes rely on never climbs high enough to neutralize lectins. Instead of making beans safe, this method leaves toxins intact. In fact, the lower steady heat can actually make the beans more toxic by breaking down the bean tissue but not the toxin. Here's the kicker. The only way to make kidney beans safe is a hard boil. At least 10 minutes at that full rolling boil ensures lectins are destroyed. Cut the time short or trust a slow cooker, and your stomach pays the price. Bottom line, half-cooked kidney beans are not halfway safe. They're a straight path to illness. Now let's look at elderberries, popular in syrups but dangerous raw. Number 9. Elderberries. Elderberry syrup shows up on shelves as a natural health booster, marketed for immunity and comfort during cold season. But here's the truth. Before cooking, elderberries are far from safe. Unripe or raw berries, along with their leaves and stems, contain cyanogenic compounds and lectins. When you eat them raw, your body breaks those compounds into cyanide, a poison that interferes with how cells use oxygen. The effects don't take long to show. Nausea, vomiting, and sharp cramps can hit quickly. The combination of cyanide compounds and lectins doesn't just upset your stomach. It disrupts normal body function, forcing your system to reject the food in order to avoid more serious damage. What looks like a harmless bowl of berries can instead feel like a fast assault on your gut. Here's the kicker. Traditional preparation is what makes elderberries safe. Boiling them into syrups or cooking them down into jams uses heat to destroy both cyanogenic compounds and lectins. Without that step, the toxins stay active. It's not the plant itself that's marketed in health products. It's the cooked, carefully prepared version. That difference often gets lost on people who pick them fresh and eat them raw off the bush. Picture gathering ripe elderberries in the wild and popping them into your mouth. Instead of boosting your health, you've just set off a cycle of cramps, diarrhea, and hours of misery. Bottom line, cooked elderberry can be helpful. Raw elderberry is a hazard. Our final hidden trap is something you may never expect: starfruit. Number 10. Starfruit. Starfruit looks fresh, tropical, and harmless. It lines markets and juice bars with a glow that screams, healthy choice. But for anyone with kidney problems, this fruit carries one of the most surprising risks of all. Here's the truth. Star fruit contains a neurotoxin that a healthy kidney can filter out, but damaged kidneys cannot. When that toxin builds up, it travels straight to the nervous system. The result is not a bellyache. It's confusion, seizures, and in severe cases, kidney collapse. The risk is so strong that medical warnings say even a single fruit can be enough to trigger an episode. And the danger is quiet. Star fruit feels light, crisp, and refreshing. You don't sense harm while you're eating it. The toxin doesn't deliver an immediate sting or burn. It builds unseen while your kidneys struggle to cope. For vulnerable patients, that healthy snack becomes the trigger for hours of neurological stress. Star fruit juice makes the risk worse. A glass looks innocent, but the concentration is higher and easier to consume quickly. Imagine drinking it daily thinking it's helping you, while in reality your kidneys are taking hit after hit. Without warning, that daily glass shifts into a medical emergency. Bottom line, star fruit is safe for most healthy people, but for kidney patients it's flat out unsafe. Complete avoidance is the only safeguard, and that brings us to the end of our list. Many everyday foods hide risks, but those dangers depend on how you handle them. Apple seeds or cherry pits only release toxins when crushed. Kidney beans need a hard boil, not a slow simmer. Cassava is safe only after soaking, fermenting, and thorough cooking. The difference is not the food itself, it's the part, dose, and preparation. Here's the truth. Eating smart isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Think of it like checking locks on your doors. You control safety with simple steps. Subscribe now and I'll show you what to avoid and what's actually safe on your table.